Welcome back to Extreme Outdoor Survival. If you're new here, just take a second to subscribe, because this channel dives into the kind of military history and fieldcraft that usually gets footnoted or, just glossed over. Today we're going to walk through 5 secret military survival methods you were never meant to know, the kind of quiet techniques soldiers relied on when equipment failed, plans collapsed, and, rescue wasn't coming. This isn't movie drama. These methods grew out of campaigns where people either adapted or didn't come home. Stay with me for the next minute, because what you're about to learn rewires how you think about survival. It goes beyond gear lists. It's about mindset, field discipline, and how elite units turn simple principles into life or death advantages. If you care about real history and practical capability, you're in the right place. So, subscribe, and let's get straight into it. The first method is that militaries train soldiers to survive by becoming deliberately boring to the environment. This sounds simple, but honestly, it is one of the most closely guarded field skills. Special reconnaissance units learned that true camouflage wasn't about wearing leafy suits. It was about removing patterns of human behavior. Predators noticed movement, straight lines, and rhythm. Armies exploited that. Soldiers were trained to move slowly enough that the landscape forgot them. No sudden head turns, no regular pacing, no predictable rests. This same principle applies outdoors today. When you're off-trail or observing wildlife, stop moving like a human in a hurry. Settle your breathing, break your rhythm, and let the environment normalize around you. Practically, that means taking 10 steps, freezing, letting sounds return, then continuing. It's how scouts in conflicts from Vietnam to Afghanistan watched entire patrols pass within meters of them without being seen. The second method is the military habit of thinking in layers rather than in objects. Civilians think shelter, food, water, fire. Elite survival training taught soldiers to think in overlapping layers so that if one fails, another carries the load. A poncho isn't just rain protection, it's also a shelter roof, water collector, stretcher, and windbreak. Waxed thread isn't just sewing material, it's fire starter, trap line, fishing leader, and repair kit. This mindset keeps you alive when gear is lost. To apply this yourself, look at anything in your pack and ask, what are its other 3 uses? When you train your brain this way, you stop depending on complete kits and start depending on knowledge. Historically, this is exactly how long-range patrols continued operating after being cut off from supply lines. Knowledge became their logistics. The third method is controlled underfeeding and water discipline. Armies discovered the hard way that panicked consumption kills faster than scarcity. Survival schools taught soldiers to stretch resources without breaking the body. The method was simple in principle: ration energy, not only food. That meant reducing unnecessary movement, keeping body temperature moderated, and scheduling small, regular sips of water instead of draining canteens out of anxiety. There's a historical precedent across desert campaigns in North Africa where units survived because leaders enforced water discipline even when morale collapsed. To apply this safely outdoors, the first step is to stop equating hunger with danger. Conserve effort first. Build shade before you build a feast. Focus on hydration planning before anything else. The rule is that your decisions matter more than your calories. The fourth method is psychological anchoring. Militaries learned that the human mind is usually what fails before the body. Elite forces were trained with specific mental habits to stop spirals of fear and keep clear thinking when alone, injured, or lost. One of the oldest is task chaining. Always do the next small task that moves the situation forward, then the next without letting the brain jump to catastrophe. Another is identity anchoring, reminding oneself, my role is to solve problems, not react to panic. Prisoners of war and downed pilots repeatedly credited these anchors for survival. In practical outdoor terms, this means saying, shelter first, then water plan, then signaling plan, and refusing to negotiate with your own panic. The history here is heavy but important. People who anchored their minds lived longer under the same conditions as people who mentally gave up within hours. The fifth method is clandestine signaling through environmental manipulation. Radios fail. Batteries die. In many conflicts, emitting signals meant death or capture. Soldiers learned to communicate by reshaping landscapes subtly. Rocks turned in identical direction. Deliberate scuff marks on tree bark, small broken branches at consistent height, or ash piles placed just out of obvious sight created silent navigation systems. This wasn't romantic or cinematic. It was practical fieldcraft used from partisan warfare in Eastern Europe to jungle operations in Southeast Asia. You can use the same principle ethically and safely for outdoor travel by agreeing on a silent sign system with your group before you leave. 3 parallel sticks might mean trail unsafe ahead. A small pyramid of stones off-center might mean turn right at next split. The key is consistency and subtlety rather than leaving obvious litter or carved graffiti. All of these methods share one truth. Survival is not about heroics. It is about discipline, restraint, and respect for the environment and your own limits. History's best soldiers weren't the loudest or the strongest. They were the ones who adapted quietly and refused to panic when certainty disappeared. If you start thinking in layers, slow your presence, discipline your consumption, anchor your mind, and signal intelligently, you are practicing the same principles that shaped some of the most resilient units in military history. If this breakdown taught you something new, subscribe to Extreme Outdoor Survival, share it with someone who takes history seriously, and stay with us as we continue pulling real lessons from the past that still matter in the field today.